Now, just as we did with addition, we are going to look at words that or terms that suggest subtraction. Now 4 minus 2, that's pretty clear. It's 4 minus 2 and that's equal to 2. So that is clearly subtraction. 19 is decreased by 5. You start with a 19 and you decrease 5 or subtract 5 to get a 14. 5 less than 15. So start with 15 less by 5, which means subtract 5 to get a 10. So that's subtraction as well. The difference of 17 and 5, we discussed this in part 1. If you use the term difference, then that suggests subtraction, but you have to be careful. 17 comes first and then you subtract 5 from it, because 17 in the sentence appears first, the difference of 17 and 5. Now, what if the question said the difference of 5 and 17? Then you would go 5 minus 17, subtract to get a 12, but in this case 17 is larger than 5, so it's a negative number. So you have to be careful with the order. Subtraction is not commutative. You cannot switch the numbers without making a difference. Now subtract 3 from 8. So you start with an 8 and subtract 3 from it, and you get a 5. What if I said subtract 8 from 3? So from 3, which means start with a 3, you subtract 8, and that would be 8 minus 3 is 5, but 3 minus 8 will be the negative of 5. Now the next one is a word problem. It says the perimeter of a polygon with 4 sides is 547. Now what is a polygon? A polygon is a multi-sided figure. Each side has to be a straight line. That's when it's called a polygon. So for example, any straight lines joined together to enclose a region, that's the region it encloses, is called a polygon. As long as it's straight lines attached together to enclose a region, that's called a polygon. What's the perimeter of a polygon? Perimeter is adding all sides. The outside edges have to be added, and the perimeter is the length of going around the entire polygon, so that the red would be the perimeter if we added all those lengths. Again, for the third example, just look at what we're going over. So we're adding each one of these edges, and the sum of all the edges would be the perimeter. Perimeter is the outside. So the perimeter, the sum of all 4 sides is given. The length of 3 sides is also given. So each of the 3 sides, the length is given. There's only one side that's missing. Now let's add up the given 3 sides. 9 plus 7 is 16, plus 1, 17. Carry the 1 over. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. 2 sits here. Carry the 1 over, and you get 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So the sum of the 3 sides is 427 centimeters. But we are given the sum of all 4 sides, and if we subtracted the sum of 3 sides from it, this would be the 4th side. Do the subtraction. 7 minus 7 is 0, 4 minus 2 is 2, 5 minus 4 is 1, and that's 120. How do we know that this is the correct answer? Make sure our calculations are right. Add 427 and 120. Make sure you get 547. 7. So add the 2 to get 547, and that tells us that our answer is correct. So let's just redo this. So John, read the question. When he retired, his yardage was 51,000. Let's write this down. It was 51,475. In 2002, Brett's yardage was 42,285. Close, but yet John's number is larger than Brett's number. By how much more is John's number larger than Brett's number? So if we have to answer that question, we have to subtract Brett's number, yardage, from John's yardage. So let's do the subtraction. 5 minus 5 is 0. 7 minus 8. Now that's not possible. So we're going to borrow. That becomes a 17 and 4 becomes a 3. 9 plus 8 is 17, which means 17 minus 8 is 9. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus 2 is not possible. We borrow a 1, which makes it 11. 11 minus 2 is 9. So we have an answer of 9,190. How do we check if it's correct? Yards. That's our answer. Make sure you put the units of measurement. How do we check that our answer is correct? Add these two numbers. Make sure you get the number on top. So 42,285 added to 9,190 is 51,475, which is the number that we started with. Is subtraction commutative? Is subtraction associative? 8 minus 5 is 3. Now let's switch the numbers. Commuting means switching in math. The commutative property is when you switch the numbers. Let's just switch. 5 minus 8. Notice that the number changes to negative 3. When you go 5 minus 8, it's equal to negative 3. Now, definitely, these two are not equal. 8 minus 5 is not equal to 5 minus 8, which means that the commutative property does not work for subtraction. So for subtraction, we do not have the commutative property. The order does matter. Let's see associative. So 8 minus, in parentheses, 5 minus 2, is it equal to 8 minus 5, the quantity, minus 2. So let's do the left side first. So that's 8 minus, and we're going to do parentheses first. 5 minus 2 is 3. Parentheses, once that is done, 8 minus 3 is 5. So the left side is 5. 8 minus 5 in parentheses first, we're doing this side, is 3. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So these two are not equal. So we found an example where the associative property does not work for subtraction. So the answer is no. You cannot switch numbers when you're taking the difference, or which means when you're subtracting, and the associative property where the grouping of numbers changes also does not work for subtraction.